Hello and welcome to Reporters here on France 24, the very best from our reporters and correspondents from around the world. Today's programme brings us to Tunisia, where the tentacles of the Islamic State group have taken hold. With a population of 11 million, it's thought that proportionally the country is one of the leading exporters of foreign fighters to Syria and Iraq. It's estimated up to 3,000 have travelled to join jihadi groups, either by flying to Turkey and crossing the border there, or going via troubled Libya, where they can avoid ID checks. Tunisia is often seen as the only success story of the Arab Spring, having recently held democratic elections. So why is the IS group attracting such numbers? Here's Marine Casalis and Hamdi Talili.
A scene becoming more familiar in the streets of Tunis. Families asking the Tunisian authorities for help to bring back relatives from Syria. A year and a half earlier, Neyma's son disappeared.
I waited 2 days. He didn't come back. I went to the airport. They said he'd left the day before at 2 a.m. for Turkey. After 13 days, he called me and said to me, "Mum, I'm in Aleppo, in Syria."
A common story here in Tunisia, one that reaches across social classes.
It's not true what they say about these poor people who need money. There are engineers among them, doctors. They're 25 years old or between 17 and 30, I could say.
1 week later, Umayya's family gets some terrible news. They'd received a short message telling them of the death of Abu Rayhan al-Tunsi, the nom de guerre of their son, which he used across social networks.
He's a martyr. You should be proud of him.
Umayya's sister says that her brother, like many other young men interested in religion, had been left vulnerable due to a lack of proper guidance.
A lot of our young people love God, and they want to go to the mosque, but they aren't supervised. There's no one. They don't find anyone to put them on the right path. Those who lived under Bourguiba, what did they teach us? Did he teach us the Quran, the rituals, morals? Ben Ali made things worse. Under Ben Ali, those who went to the mosque went to prison. Those who prayed in the morning went there as well. Those are just normal clothes. Normal clothes.
Nothing in this cupboard indicates the path Umayya would take.
I'd seen them killing people, slaughtering them, blowing themselves up. I told him not to kill anyone, not to blow himself up. I'd never forgive him if he did something like that, and he promised me he wouldn't.
Online sermons advocating jihad are widely spread over social networks in Tunisia. In 3 years, up to 3,000 Tunisians are believed to have gone over to Syria and Iraq, the largest proportion of any other country. The Tunisian Interior Ministry says big efforts are made to stop the flow of people leaving to the war zones.
Tunisia is one of the only countries able to control the departures of Tunisians. Restrictive measures are taken in our airports when we suspect someone wants to go to Syria for jihad. Our law says that Tunisian passports belong to the state, so when we have a doubt, we take it away. I believe this law hinders a lot of people, young people, from going to Syria for jihad.
Following the revolution in 2011, laws restricting religious practice were relaxed and Salafist jihadists were left free to practice and spread their ideology. When they came to power in 2014, the new government promised a crackdown, but the flood of Tunisians leaving for Syria has not been stemmed. South of Tunis lies Hammamet, a town famous among tourists for its beaches. Monia and Amjad live here, also helpless parents. Their son left for Syria less than 10 days ago.
But tell me, what have you done to not be able to come back? Tell me why. When did you start praying? How long have you prayed to say that now you know God?
Mother, if you keep talking to me like that, I won't see you again.
But why? What have you done, Hamouda?
Mother, if you want to come here, you're welcome. We can live together, and when you want to go back, you can go back. If I go back, they'll put me in prison.
Hamouda, who cares about prison? Come back. Do your prison time with me. That would be better.
Mother, I don't want to go back. I'm okay here. I'm happy here.
Monia thinks she'll have to go to her son in order to convince him to return.
How do we find each other? What am I going to do over there?
I gave him your number so he can call you. Tell him you are Hamouda's mother.
But who is this man whose instructions I should follow?
He will bring you to the house. There are only women, only girls. They're going to Syria as well.
Girls also go to Syria?
No, they're not girls, Mother. They're married women who are joining their husbands.
Hamouda, my son.
Mother, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not going to forgive you if you don't come back.
This young man only started seriously practicing religion 2 months before he left.
Before this, my son never prayed. He never prayed at all. At his sister's marriage, he went from girl to girl. He was dancing. My son was dancing.
A few hours later, Monia's on her way to Istanbul. It's 2.5 hours flight and a route taken by many Tunisians on their way to Syria. They don't need a visa to enter Turkey. It's daybreak in Istanbul and Monia gets on the road with the hope of seeing her son again.
Okay, let's go. Bye.
In making him believe she's traveling alone without Hamouda's father, Monia hopes that he will come out of worry for her.
Perhaps he's going to tell himself, Mum knows nothing. He knows that I don't know how to read nor write, that I've never left Tunisia. If he knows that I'm with his father, he will say, okay, I'm not worried about her.
On the trail of their son, they head for the Syrian border, more than 1,000 kilometers away from Istanbul. As agreed with her husband, Monia pretends she's alone. They wait for hours, but to no avail. At the end of the day, neither Hamouda nor an intermediary has shown up. Urfa lies 60 kilometers from the border. Like thousands of other aspiring jihadis, Hamouda entered Syria via Turkey's southern borders. The previous day's disappointment showed Monia and Amjad that their son is not willing to come and meet them. Therefore, they have no choice but to go further down the road, a prospect that terrifies Monia.
I'm so afraid. I don't feel anything.
But at least you're going to see how he's living. You at least want to see the last place where he was and what he was doing.
Monia desperately calls the intermediary. Her son entered Syria 2 weeks earlier through this same network.
I called you yesterday from the airport.
Where are you now?
I'm at the hotel.
What's the name?
Arti.
Okay, madam, I'm coming.
Wait, is Hamouda with you?
No, Hamouda isn't with me. We're going to take you back to Hamouda.
And I'll be going just with men alone.
No, there will be women with you, God willing.
A man comes to find them at the hotel. And despite their fears, they go with him in the direction of the border. But after 2 days of waiting, they decide to return home, instead of risking everything trying to save Hamouda. They haven't seen their son since. Others, like Abu Mujahid, have returned. He spent several months at the heart of the Islamic State organization. To avoid airport security checks, he traveled via Libya to get into Syria. And despite being closely monitored by the authorities, he says he's willing to talk.
They've closed the border with what we call cardboard police. They don't do anything. I trained in Libya on a range of weapons. I was trained again when I joined the Islamic State. I had already been trained, but they trained me again just on Kalashnikovs over there. When I was in Libya, I fired different weapons, grenades, missiles, etc.
This part of the Tunisian-Libyan border is a military zone. Here, a few kilometers from Libya, smugglers, with their faces hidden, have agreed to show us the path they use to deliver future combatants like Abu Mujahid.
Here we're in the heart of the desert, and this is a track which goes into Libya. They bring 2 to 4 people in the car and up to the border. They're already in contact with someone down there, and then they meet up with them. They escort them into the Libyan side, coordinating with the Libyan side.
Tunisian authorities have been struggling to secure the porous border.
Even with the means available and all our efforts, we're not able to control everything 100%.
Despite the patrols, it's impossible to stop all those who want to cross from doing so.
We catch a lot of people who want to get to Syria through Libya. They find a group of jihadists in Libya who train them, and then they head for Syria.
Abu Mujahid left for Syria without any combat experience, but returned proud of what he did over there.
In Tunisia, I wasn't used to seeing dead people, people with bullets in their heads, the kind of damage caused by a heavy machine gun. But over there, I was involved in all of that. But we are human beings. When you're involved in that sort of thing, of course, you're afraid, but after you get used to it, you're used to it, you're not afraid. It becomes something normal that you have in front of you, and by the grace of God, you remember what they're doing to your brothers, to your land. They urinate on your sacred book, they trample it, they insult your prophet, they make cartoons. These Western countries who fight us are evil.
After returning to Tunisia for family reasons, the young man has not changed his mind over jihad, quite the opposite.
You can study over there, you can get married and live a normal life. People think that we spend the whole time on the front line, at war, but it's not true. It's destiny. God made me come back to Tunisia. But inshallah, God will take me back to a land of jihad. Not just Syria, but any province of the Islamic State.
8 months after the death of Umayya, we go back to find his father. He's with the president of a support group for families whose relatives have gone to Syria. Umayya's father accuses this mosque of encouraging his son to go.
The sign was there, they've taken it down. There was a sign there, and there's now pillar of the faith, there's no God but Allah. There were tables at the entry of the mosque for jihad in Syria, in Mali, jihad over there, etc. They were encouraging jihad right in front of the believers. When people came in or went out, people would see it.
But there are a lot of Tunisian fighters in Syria, because Tunisia is a country where some people in power encourage people to leave for jihad. It's a business. The terrorist networks are still here. They haven't been held responsible. They still have means and everything's going well for them.
As Tunisia moves slowly forward on the path to democracy, jihadist ideas continue to inspire a large number of young Tunisians. They now operate not only in Syria and Iraq, but also in neighboring Libya.